Hi, this is Pete May, co-founder of GreenBiz Group, and I'm excited today to be here on GreenBiz Studio with Chris Spain, who is CEO and president of Hydropoint, and also as a historical point, as I do this interview, GreenBiz is a 15-year-old company. I think Hydropoint is something like 19, and we've this is not the first time we worked together. So, Chris, it's great to have you on studio, and great to see you again. Why don't you kick us off? Tell us what you've been up to these last 19 years.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's great to see you, Pete, and thanks for the chance to talk about Hydropoint. And it's always great to hear about what you've been doing as well. You guys are such a great center point for the whole clean tech business, and it's gone through so many phases the last 5, 10 years. So it's hard to believe we've been in business for 19 years, and we really started the company way too early. We kept coming up against challenges that we thought we were going to, be the end of our business, and then we come up with some crazy idea to save the business, and we ended up pulling it off. So now the last 10 years, it's been really incredible, and the last 5 in particular, we've been growing very large, very fast. So our specialty has been, water conservation, but at an area of the water network that's been largely ignored, which is what we call the last mile, or water end use. And when we started Hydropoint, we did a lot of research on the water network, supply, treatment, and end use. And we saw a lot of data about supply and treatment, but not a lot of data about end use. And we were curious why there wasn't a concerted effort, to attack that area as far as waste. And when we started getting into it, we realized there's a lot of good reasons, because it's very hard to deal with all the variety at the end use and the last mile. Every site is different. People are different. Their motivations are different. And there's a lot of change adverse sort of behavior going on.
And I'll add too. I think your customers are really diverse. Don't you work? You work with probably universities, public sector, Fortune 1000. So yeah. So they're probably have different challenges and things they may not see.
I mean, they all share the same profound systemic waste, and they all share a profound blindness to the amount of waste that's going on. And it's interesting. Obviously, water. A lot of water distribution, particularly irrigation, happens at night when people aren't around. Leaks occur where you don't see them until it's too late. And then just getting sensors to where these issues are is hard because there's no power. Energy management had the advantage of, if you're measuring energy, there's energy right there to power your sensors and your IoT systems. But water requires a whole other level of battery power and technology that's optimized to deal with these sort of logistical, environmental obstacles. And then you have the obstacles of the wide variety of sites. So we service about 60 cities, federal government, military bases, as well as schools, K through 12 universities, multifamily housing, healthcare, corporate campuses. So, and they all share one thing, which is I've yet to go on a site where there isn't some ridiculous amount of waste that's just been going on for so long. That's their baseline. They think that's the normal amount of usage that they should be using.
What do you think? Since again, I think you make a good point that among resources, water is sometimes the most exotic and least understood. What if you had to put your finger on, what is one misconception that you think your customers have about conserving water? What would you say it is?
I think the first one is that the biggest cost is the water bill. But when you waste water, one of the cost bases is definitely, increased water bill. But wasting water and on-site water that's not managed has the ability to cause huge damages, when it's unchecked. And that can, do a host of different issues as far as even bringing the operation of the business to a halt, or, damaging all your inventory, or slip and fall and liabilities, or on a more mundane level, having to have you do resurfacing and repaving of your parking lot. So water's powerful, and wherever it goes, it can cause tremendous damage. So I think the biggest piece we help our customers understand is what is the total cost of water. And that cost can also include brand damage. If you're in an area where there's big restrictions and you're flooding your parking lot and your customers are walking through your parking lot going, God, flang it, this is they get the wastewater and we get fined for watering our own yards. Now that's a significant social media opportunity for your brand to be really, put in a bad light.
Yeah. And I imagine for you too, do customers know what goals they should set, or do you go in and play a big role and just, I imagine sometimes maybe they don't know what the right questions to ask are and what the right goals are to set. How do you help them that way?
Yeah, that's a great question, Pete. I mean, the real issue is, and it's really changed our business, this question, because we started to notice that our customers' ability to save was decreasing over time. And it was just due to the fact that staff change out or people have their real jobs to do, and it's hard to maintain a sustainability system as well. So we shifted to outcomes as a service where we go to the customer and say, we're going to be partnering with you to get to this outcome. And the outcome we determine with the customer by doing a really very prescriptive series of discovery analytics, benchmarking their buildings in use against other buildings and industries of their type in the same kind of weather and ET range. Water is so funny because unless you look at it through the local lens, I don't think there's anything more local than water. I mean, its quality is local, the community's relationship to it is local, the climate change impact to water is local, and of course, water's availability is local as far as weather goes. And then finally, the amount of energy it's taken to push that water to the final destination is all local as well.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So fascinating. All right, last question here. If I'm let's say I'm a Fortune 1000 sustainability executive listening to this podcast, this studio, nervously going, "Gosh, I really need to. We've always neglected our water use. We need to really get on it." What is the advice you would give organizations to how they take a first step in really starting to manage their water use?
yeah, I think the first step is start to get some understanding of what your total costs are, and work with a partner that has some skin in the game with you. I think a lot of people think it's a technology solution, and that's what we thought for a long time. We thought it was pure technology, but it's really technology and people. It's the funny thing about the last mile. It's like Murphy's law, the epitome of Murphy's law. Everything's working great. You drop your pen, you look up, and everything's broken. So you have to be constantly 24/7 looking at what's going on. The other part too, I think, is to understand that what we find the most shocking for our customers is how much money they can make doing good on-site water management. My belief personally is something's not environmentally sustainable if it's not first operationally and economically sustainable. And that's something that we prove to our customers every day. There's so much waste. There's gold in Dimdar Hills. Just harvest that waste. And nothing more stupid than wasting water that's been processed, transported. My kids, when they're younger, they said, "What do you do?" And I said, "We get rid of stupid. That's what we do. We use technology to get rid of stupid."
Yeah, well, that's a great. On that note, yeah, it's great to reconnect with you. It's as we look at GreenBiz, all aspects of sustainability, there's so much to do. Water is definitely at the top of that list for companies to understand their impact and really understand their use and how they need to manage that. So, Chris Bain, CEO of Hydropoint, great to reconnect with you, and let's do it more often than every decade on studio or so.
That sounds great.
Yeah,
Always good to see you, Pete.